Hey everybody, welcome to another video. Obviously, you're probably thinking, what kind of campsite is this? And I'll be honest with you, it's not that pretty out here. The drive to where I'm at wasn't that great. It was mainly highway and then a really simple dirt road, a couple jogs here and there. But what I want to show you, I'm going to film tomorrow, especially at sunrise, and it's going to be amazing. So stick with me while I set up the camp. This is going to be fun. All right guys, that's it. That is the basic setup. One thing I didn't do today is I didn't hook up my sink and my gray water outline. I'm only staying the night. I brought a 3-gallon bucket of water that I'm just gonna use for food and drinking. So otherwise I'd show you that setup, but this is pretty much my setup. It is Cinco de Mayo, so cheers. And I'll get back to you in a couple minutes. Whew, yeah. Okay guys, got everything set up, just sitting down. There's a nice breeze blowing right now. I'm a few minutes outside of the golden hour, so I thought I'd sit down, enjoy a little bit more Cinco de Mayo, and chat with you guys for a minute. I'm approximately 106 miles outside of Phoenix. I'm west of Phoenix, and I'm about 8 miles north of I-8, which runs over to San Diego. So I've been trying to look at some trips to do before it gets too hot down here in the valley, before you do have to go up on the rim, and wanted to try to do some just out and in trips where you go out on a Friday, enjoy Friday night, explore around Saturday, and then head back home Saturday night, and give myself Sunday to kind of get things all back to normal. But this is a really interesting spot. I think you guys are gonna like this. I'm gonna take some fun sunset roll here in a little bit and really show you how cool this place is. And this happened to me earlier, so I do have service because I'm getting ads sent to me out here in no man's land. So if you're wondering if you have service, you have service. So this is a really neat place. It's BLM land, and it's right on the border of BLM and Arizona Trust land. So a lot of people are wondering about Arizona Trust land. You can camp on it. You can camp on it for up to 14 days per year. I got a single person pass, which costs $15, and they also have a family pass, which I believe is $20. And then I think they have a pass to do groups. So if you're gonna have a group of people coming through, it's a super simple process. You just do it online. I'll put a link down in the description, and you pay for it with a credit card. If you are coming from out of the country, you might have to get a prepaid credit card, Visa card or something like that. That's a US bank issued to make the payment work, just so you know. And then you can print out a printer on your printer, a little printout, and you just keep that with you, and that's sort of your permit. And then on the second page of that printout is a little parking pass, and you just kind of fold it down and put it in the dash of your car. So if and when a Arizona Land Trust person comes by, and I don't even know who would come by, and they would see that and everything would be fine. So, but this is officially BLM land. There's some information plaques around the corner that I'll get some information on and talk about a little bit more in the video. But I'm super excited about this. I had never heard of this spot before, but I was just kind of searching around with Google, looking for some places to go that were within a 2-hour striking distance of my house. And this is perfect. And like I said, being the 1st of May and it's currently 80 degrees out, you can't get this nice of weather for too many more days here. So I'm trying to take advantage of as many of them as possible. And then obviously in about a week and a half, I'll be up at Expo in Flagstaff, and that's going to be a blast. So cheers. I'm going to have a couple more swigs of my beer, and then I'm going to head out and get some B-roll sunset photos and video, and then take a lot of video tomorrow, because I think what I'm going to show you guys is really interesting. And if you're ever traveling out to San Diego along I-8, I would strongly advise you to stop by here and at least spend 45 minutes to an hour checking this place out, because it's truly amazing. All right, see you guys. Whoa, Cinco de Mayo. Sears Point is a culturally significant archaeological area to many Indian tribes in Arizona and California. Situated on land maintained by the Bureau of Land Management, BLM has designated the area as Sears Point Area of Critical Environmental Concern. That's a lot of words to say this area needs to be respected. The site was also listed on the National Register of Historic Places on October 16, 1985. It is comprised of petroglyphs, rock alignments, intaglios, shrines, and lithic. Lithic, for those like myself that didn't know, relates to the use as a stone as a cultural tool. The petroglyphs were pecked into the basalt mesas and boulders for a variety of reasons. Some seek help from gods to ensure a successful hunt or harvest. Others convey information to fellow travelers. And some may have been used to help illustrate stories about mythological or historical events. Sears Point contains 3 styles of petroglyphs: the Western Archaic Tradition petroglyph style, Gila petroglyph style, and Batayan petroglyph style. The Western Archaic Tradition is associated with hunting and gathering cultures that lived in the region between approximately 10,500 and 2300 BC. Designs include geometric abstract elements such as grids, ladders, circles, circle chains, concentric rings, zigzags, and parallel wavy lines. Gila petroglyph style is associated with Hohokam, who occupied the region between 300 BC and 1450 AD. Hohokam grew corn, beans, and squash, and their glyphs consist primarily of figures of animals, insects, bows and arrows, human shapes, spirals, and zigzags. Pattaya and petroglyph style is a local style found along the lower Colorado and Gila rivers, beginning at about 500 AD through the late 1800s. Common design elements consist of digitate figures or human stick figures with splayed fingers and toes. Other common designs were humans carrying bows and arrows, animals, birds, diamonds, and sunbursts. If you get a chance to visit Sears Point, please follow these guidelines. 1. Do not touch, move, or climb on the petroglyphs or rock alignments. 2. Keep pets out of the designated petroglyph areas. 3. If you see anyone digging or defacing anything, please contact authorities. If you're enjoying this video, please hit like and consider subscribing to my channel to see more videos like this. Thank you. This place is amazing. There's just endless petroglyphs in every direction that you look out here. I got up before sunrise, made coffee just to beat the heat, but also just to try to take in everything that's out here. It's amazing. This is called Sears Point, and it's also called a critical environmental area. It's protected per se, only in the fact that the people that come out here understand that some of these petroglyphs are over 10,000 years old, and the area needs to be preserved. And I'm almost nervous to put this video out to show it to people, because I think there's a chance that this place could turn into Horseshoe Bend, which I used to stop by Horseshoe Bend every once in a while when I was camping 10 years ago, and it was just this beautiful outdoor Mother Nature amazing place, and now it's Disneyland. There's pathways and railings and thousands of people, and out of that 1,000, there's 1,000 that don't even care that they're there. They're just looking at their phones and we're trying to get the perfect Instagram pic. So again, this is Sears Point. There's thousands of pictographs. You can see some of them up over my shoulder, and I've already showed you guys a few in the first part of this video, and it's amazing. And there's a lot of history that I'll read into about the place, and I'm going to be walking around. If you do come out here, a great time to come out here would be probably between late January and late April, or even, let's say, November and December. I'm here at the 1st of May. We have some seasonally cooler weather per se for Arizona, and it's going to be about 85, 90 degrees a day, which I think is a perfect temperature, but it can get really hot. And if you are an older than me, and I'm no spring chicken myself, but you can actually come out here and park your vehicle and or walk around the base of these cliffs, and if you have just a decent pair of binoculars, you can see everything that I'm going to see. I'm just kind of getting up here a little bit to get some closer shots of some of these, and then on top of that, I'm going to show a few of these petroglyphs, and then when we get on the top of the mesa, there's actually also what's called some, and I'll get the correct name for it and put it on the screen, but there's rock formations. And there's a couple places where I walked around last night when I got here where there's some really interesting rock formations that people from the past set up that I just find incredibly amazing. I mean, a lot of these graphics and things like that, to me, I'm just spellbound by them, because I'm a graphic designer by trade. So I see these icons or these marks that people made thousands of years ago that told stories, or maybe said, hey, we had a good hunt, or come back at this certain time with this moon or this sun, and there is more. I mean, this is a very interesting area. It's a very dried area now, but in ancient years, the Gila River that runs down through the state ran right back through here. And just recently, there is a catchway up here, and we've had a lot of rain this season, and they just released some water. So it's not flowing like a crazy river, but everything kind of behind the camera is really green for being out in the middle of the desert. So there is a lot of water under the ground here, and I can just imagine in the old days just the amount of animals and crops and things like that that could be produced here. So enough of my babbling. Let me show you guys around and get you in front of some of these petroglyphs, because I don't think I can get everything filmed today. There's just so much, and I'm only going to be out here today. So let's do this. If you do come, bring good shoes, and I would discourage bringing pets because this basalt is very rough and rough on the feet. And I'd even discourage bringing small children because this surface is really loose. And it doesn't take much to lose your balance. And there's no sheer cliffs, but every one of these rocks has a really sharp edge to it. So this is kind of more of an adult outing, I'll be honest with you. And it also will minimize the amount of people that might, youngsters, I guess, not people, but youngsters who might want to see what it's like to make petroglyphs. So just keep that in your notes. So once you get up on top of the mesa, you feel like you're on the moon, maybe. It's amazing. It looks nothing like the rest of the surrounding desert. But there's also rock formations up here. So if you do come out here and visit, please be careful when you're up here. Watch for the trails. You can see them for the most part, but mainly watch the rocks and just be super careful when you're up here, because I'm going to show you one right now. I'm going to try to get the camera up in the air and show you this rock formation, and you might notice a pattern that we've seen a few times already. There's a row of rocks right here, and they look very familiar with some of the graphics that I've already taken some shots of. Let me see if I can even get the camera up higher for you guys. So I'm hoping this has been the same way for thousands of years and people haven't kicked it or done anything with it. It doesn't look like anyone's touched it, but it's absolutely amazing. So here's an interesting ring of rocks kind of out in the valley between all the the basalt mesas. I'll get another shot of it when I get around to from a different angle, but I just kind of picked that up as I was walking around up here. This place is amazing. Here's another interesting spot I came upon. I'm not sure how it's coming out on screen. I'll check it when I get home and I'll put a little graphic around it, but this pile of rocks doesn't look natural. This kind of looks like it was piled up by some people. And then here in front, there's a kind of a ring where it looks like it, not necessarily was a fire ring with a ring around it, but a place where either the rocks were broken down because of heat or something, but it is kind of a really good ring there with sort of a path around it. So I find it to be pretty interesting. It's a really neat setup here. So again, if you come upon stuff like this, take pictures of it, look at it, but don't walk through it. It's amazing to think of what this site was used for. And then another funny tip I'll show you real quick here is, if you're out here and you have a black microphone and everything around you is black, make sure you don't drop this, because then you don't have to spend 30 minutes walking every step you already took to try to find it. Luckily I did, but note to self, always know where your microphone is. All right, so here's another really cool area I just came across. You guys tell me, but these rocks are all very similar in size and seem to be placed in very similar spacing. And let me show you something else I thought was kind of interesting. So here's the second part of that. Kind of out on this point, appears to be almost a circle with a stone right in the middle of it. Almost perfectly in the middle there. I'm going to try to grab a Google Earth image and lay it over right now and see if any of these shapes make sense. And then I was taking a look at it. There almost seemed like there was a walkway over here. Let me show that to you right now. Okay, I hope it's not too windy up for you guys. So here's the middle of that circle. I'm kind of standing behind it. And then what I think, possibly, could be totally wrong, but if I come over here, I started noticing there's sort of like sets of two rocks. I might have been off a little bit. Let's try it. I think it's right here. Like, see these two right here? I'll try to highlight each one kind of as we go. So there's these two that seem to be almost exactly 4 feet apart. And then this next set of rocks right here that seem to be about 4 feet apart, maybe a little bit less. And then you come here, these two are almost spaced perfectly. And you come here, and these two seem to be spaced about the same. Oops, and you get to here, those two were pretty close as well. And then I'm going to jump up here and spin around real quick. And then this leads me back to that whole area where it seems like a lot of these rocks are really spaced out. Way too uniform to be just where they happen to land. This place is so interesting. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall. See what they did on a Friday night in this area thousands of years ago. Okay guys, I think I might have just came across something. Hear me out. I'll lay some graphics down on here in case you guys can't see it, but tell me or not if this doesn't look like a pathway up to that peak up there. I'm gonna climb my way up to the top and shoot a picture down from up there as well and see if it looks the same way. And it's kind of hard to see right now. I'll put an arrow in the graphic. There looks to be kind of a sub peak, and there's a stone there when I was looking from a different direction, almost like a quasi altar. Now, probably not, but who knows. But holy cow, I mean, these rocks aren't random. These rocks are definitely set up as a pathway up here for whatever kind of ceremonies or hunting practices or whatever it is they used to do. I mean, this is absolutely mind-blowing. This is so cool. So if you can't see it, like I said, check these graphics, and I'm gonna see if I can get a couple different angles from up top to see if I can see this. All right, got about halfway up the hill. And these are those rocks that were in the middle that you can see from the bottom down there. Almost make like a little fire ring. One of them, this one that's just out of frame a little bit, could have been the bottom of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rocks. But look, I mean, come on, this is still some kind of a pathway, and it's leading right up to that rock. And unless maybe a certain time of summer or a certain time of year, the shadow cast off of that rock and came down through here, and they used these rocks to line it up. And maybe when the shadow of that thing up there passed between these rocks, they knew that it was friggin' hunting time, or it was growing maize time, or go attack your neighbor time, who knows. But man, this is really cool. And what a beautiful day it is. I mean, I'm lucky as lucky. Right now it is May 6th, and I got 81 degrees showing on my Apple Watch. So I cannot be any lucky because I guarantee you in the next couple of weeks, we're gonna be up over 100 and I would not be out here being able to do this right now. All right, let's keep looking at this. All right, you guys can see that one rock there on the left. It's kind of got like a, excuse me, a white kind of face to it. So there appears to be a couple markings on it right now. I'm gonna run up there because I'm just curious if you were another tribe or somebody that had to come up this entranceway and maybe the, I don't know, the assistant chief stood there and then the big chief stood up on the hill, or who knows. You can actually, now I'm just noticing some petroglyphs up on that, on the main peak up there. So let me scamper up and just be curious for scale what it looked like if you were standing here. Oh yeah. So this, I don't know, you can tell maybe where some birds have gone to the bathroom on it, maybe over time. Just the ingredients of their droppings have maybe discolored it, but here I am for scale, standing here. Who knows, maybe they did use that for something. It's hard to say. I'm looking around and don't see anything totally out of the ordinary right here, but a little petroglyph right here. Almost looks like a lizard or something with a curled tail. It's pretty cool. And then kind of there's space to stand right here as well. So that'd be so interesting if it was, let me ask the big boss. And he looks up and says something to the big boss. Oh, there's a couple, there's a small petroglyph here. So this is interesting. And I'll bring the camera up, but there is a petroglyph here. Doesn't quite look like an arrow. It is kind of a shaft with a point on it. It is pointing right towards this pillar of rock. And so cool. All right, let me grab the camera back. Okay, here's that petroglyph up close a little bit more. There's one over on the other side I'll get a bit better shot of. Excuse me. It's dry out today. I almost see a figure standing there on the left. And it might be throwing things out into the air, or it might be throwing like a sheep or something like that in the feet or in the air. Maybe they threw animals off it here. Who knows? But that's just my guess. But I'll try to put some graphics over the top of it, see if you guys can see what I see. And again, just really interesting stuff out here. I'll go quick here because I just got a brief break in the wind and it just went absolutely calm, which is kind of interesting as well. But now take a look at this. Now I'm up on top of that peak that we were looking at a little bit ago from down at the bottom down there, down in the gully. And man, if that doesn't look like some kind of a walkway, It for sure, that is just so cool. You just wonder if maybe people sat out on these other rocks as people came up to ask for something or this, that, and the other, but this is really cool. And let me see if I can pull the camera up here, and exposure might be crazy. But look at this view. Out into southern Arizona. Over to the west a little bit towards California. Man, I keep finding different things. They're amazing. And I think people have been great about not touching stuff because these two stones look too perfect to be sitting up here. And then there's 4 different bowls that I see. And one has been here a long time, and then the 3 other are a little bit smaller. So here's bowl 1, bowl 2, bowl 3, and bowl 4. And this is maybe 5.5 feet behind where we were just looking down at that pathway. Again, this place is just really cool. Thanks everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. If you want to see more of my videos and trips, please subscribe to my channel. Happy travels.